So by way of introduction, Michael is a exercise physiologist at the University of Calgary. He's contracted with a new program that is being launched at the university with funding from Movember and from Prostate Cancer Canada. And this particular program, he's obviously going to tell you an awful lot more about, but it's quite a substantial and ambitious program, I guess is the way that we would describe it.
Yeah.
And it's going to result in the training of a very large number of exercise physiologists across the country and internationally, and the whole program is being led from University of Calgary, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Michael, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Stuart. I usually have to lower these, but let me know if you can hear me okay. Hi, I'm Mike. I am, like Stuart said, an exercise physiologist with Dr. Nicole Culos-Reed, who I know has been here a couple times, talked to you guys over the years. And I'm here to introduce one of our newest and, as Stuart said, most ambitious projects that we have going on through Nicole and the University of Calgary. So for the longest time, you've had individuals come in here and talk to you about the research side and the evidence. Specifically, we're interested typically with the physical activity aspect. And so there's been a lot of communication over the last few years about how beneficial physical activity is for the general population, whoever it might be, but specifically for the cancer population and prostate cancer survivors as well. We are now successfully kind of at the point that we know how beneficial it is, and so some of the research that we're starting to try to do is moving on from the proving it into the applying it. So the knowledge translation. And so now instead of always having different studies where you're seeing if things are effective, there's still a great place for those and a lot of research to be done in that aspect. But now we also want to actually implement programs throughout the community for everybody to use so that you can take advantage of all the research that has been done in the previous years. To summarize what we already know, there are numerous benefits for physical activity for all of you. There's physical benefits, and then there's some psychosocial, emotional, and mental benefits as well. We'll just briefly go over some of the more obvious ones. So increased muscular strength and endurance, which is important for everybody, no matter what sort of stage of life you're in. Typically, when we think about muscular strength and endurance, we're thinking of athletes and people doing crazy athletic things. The whole idea of fitness is to allow you to do the things that you enjoy in the easiest ways possible, so that you're not feeling stressed on a daily basis physically to actually perform activities of daily living, recreational sports, golf, fishing, those sorts of things. That's the whole premise of fitness. We've been very cued with the industry nowadays to think about fitness as the prototypical male or female bodies, right? That's not the idea of fitness. Fitness, where we're applying it to you and applying it to me, is to make your life easier. Improved physical conditioning is always going to be a result of that increased strength and endurance. And so this is going to be the case for myself or for anybody who's went through any sort of treatment as well. You're always going to see an increase in physical functioning if you're able to stay active, both before, during, and after. You're going to have an improved quality of life and a decreased amount of fatigue, which again, depending on the treatment, can be a really large barrier to continuing on. And so what a lot of the research has done, and what Nicole has really preached before, is something is better than nothing. We always want to be able to put something out there that you're going to find to be the most effective for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to run a marathon or be walking several hours a day. It's getting in whatever you can. And slowly but surely that message is coming across. Some of you may be familiar with different little technology pieces now. I have one on right now, Fitbit. When I first got the Fitbit for myself, I didn't really know how much of a benefit it was going to have. To be perfectly honest, I got it to support my wife because she got one and she wanted to compete against somebody. Because I was pretty active admittedly already, but since I got it, I'm so much more aware of my everyday activity and always trying to get steps in and doing it throughout in little segments. And when you're doing that, you're not going to feel typically exhausted or physically fatigued by doing something hard for a couple hours. You're just doing it throughout the day, and before you know it, you've walked a whole lot of steps and you're feeling really proud about what you've done. You don't need to actually quantify that all the time. Some people need to, but if you're just being active throughout the day, it's going to help. With survivors, we're also looking at improvements in body composition. So depending on the treatment you're undertaking, there's going to be a lot of demand or a lot of issues with trying to maintain that healthy body weight. And it's through no fault of your own. It's something that the research has shown is always going to be a challenge, but physical activity, diet, overall wellness is absolutely able to help that. Maintaining a weight is just as successful as losing weight. Now we can get into some of the mental and emotional benefits as well. So a reduced risk of falls, and with that the confidence to be able to complete activities without worrying about whether you're going to fall. If you're physically active, you're going to be able to feel like you're able to accomplish more, stay on your feet, have confidence. A decreased risk of incontinence, which again we can all appreciate will have some pretty significant emotional consequences to it. By doing some regular pelvic floor exercises at any point of recovery, people can decrease the duration or the severity of any sort of incontinence issues. Improve quality of life and depression trends. So the ability to cope with new norms throughout is able to be increased when you're active and taking care of yourself. And then we go on to the overarching benefits of activity. So decreased risk of comorbidities like heart disease and any of those other ones, you can name them, any other chronic disease is going to be helped through the addition of physical activity, nutrition, and another thing we'll talk about, which is some stress reduction techniques. And then it also, this is a little bit of a burdening field, is the assists with the acceptance of sexual changes. So again, an individual's ability to cope and their ability to feel like themselves is increased by being active. And then finally we have again some more of the latest research that I know Nicole has went over before, is on the survival aspect. So people men are able to significantly reduce their risk of cancer recurrence, of cancer mortality and all-cause mortality when they are able to engage in a modest amount of moderate to vigorous activity. So it's about 90 minutes to 3 hours per week at what we would consider to be brisk walking. So if you're going through the park, whether it's downtown or wherever you live, it wouldn't be that casual walking speed, it would be that I need to get somewhere because I'm late speed. Which a lot of us, for one reason or another, as we get older, we stop engaging in that, right? That is a safe way to get more moderate to vigorous activity because you're not really doing anything crazy physically. But there becomes a point where if you're trying to catch that bus, you're like, oh, I'll just get the next one, instead of actually trying to boogie to make it. And those are the sorts of things we can do throughout our lives to try to help that out. So with that in mind, knowing all the benefits we have and all the research that's been poured into it previously, we want to actually be able to apply that to useful resources and useful programs that all of you can use. And the initiative that Movember and Prostate Cancer Canada have helped launch is the True North initiative. And this is one of the branches is being based right here in Calgary to start with. It is a national initiative and a global initiative too. There's about 77 new ones being added all the time, leading global experts, and True North is being implemented in 5 different countries. So both in the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and the USA, which gives us the opportunity to bring in experts from literally every corner of the globe, so that all of the knowledge that has been developed throughout the years isn't just staying in that tight little country. You're able to communicate with each other and get the best programming out there. So within Canada specifically, and each country is slightly different with the initiatives that are actually being launched. Canada specifically, there's 5 different initiatives. There's an ADT, androgen deprivation therapy specific initiative. There's a urinary and bowel function initiative, sexual health and rehab, and palliative care. All of those, along with our lifestyle management program, which we're heading up here in Calgary, have their own goals, their own sort of programs or research that they're trying to head up, questions they want asked. But the whole idea with it is that it is integrated within each other, so that one program can help the other, so that we're able to get a complete care for each and every individual who participates in it. Most of these programs you're seeing coast to coast in Canada. So there's going to be experts from anywhere and everywhere. I know a couple of these other ones. There's leading experts here in Calgary who are helping out with them as well. Our lifestyle management specifically, we have Dr. Nicole Culos-Reed here in Calgary, and then the co-investigator is somebody who some of you may know because she did her graduate degree here, is Ashley Zahavich, used to be Ashley Ross. And she's now in Halifax. So our 2 investigators are on kind of either sides of the country, and allows us to really be able to bring everybody together. The other aspect you'll see here is the online portal system. So everybody has a different comfort level with technology, which everybody can appreciate. And the whole idea with the online portal system is that you don't always have to drive somewhere or access a program physically. You can do it whenever you feel that you want to as well. So it's not going to be online or in person. It's going to be a combination of the two to give anyone and everyone the best amount of resources they can. And along with that online resources is the idea of referrals. So if you're utilizing one of the initiatives, we're able to identify when you might be able to benefit from another initiative as well, so that we can help direct you to get the best care. So specifically here in Calgary with Dr. Nicole Culos-Reed is the True North Lifestyle Management. With the lifestyle management program, we're looking at 3 distinct arms that we're trying to create programming and resources for. And that's fitness or physical activity, dietary, and mindfulness, or you may recognize it as stress reduction as well. And so we're trying to bring together professionals and facilities and provide these places and these people with the tools to actually be able to implement the best programming we know how in those 3 arms. Things that are evidence-based, not just based on anecdotal things, opinions, but programs that have been very vigorously researched and geared towards men as well. Because the other thing with a lot of that research is that a lot of those programs are constantly asking for feedback from you to make sure that the things that are going on are going to be as effective as possible. The whole idea with True North and the lifestyle management aspect is to try to bring about a change in the way of thinking with standard care. So standard care is still very much based on let's dole out some medications, be able to refer to different multidisciplinary care teams, but a lot of them are still very limited, especially in different parts of the country. Calgary has a neck up on a few of the other places around Canada. There are things like the MBSR program that are offered through Tom Baker, Dr. Linda Carlson, that aren't based elsewhere in Canada, but each part of Canada is different. One part has a lot of nutrition resources, for example. Another maybe has a lot of physical activity, like we do here in Calgary. So we want to be able to provide the whole thing to each part of Canada. And overall, we want to get it to be a part of standard care, so that when somebody's diagnosed, or maybe they've been diagnosed for a while and they're having some issues, they're able to see their doctor, and their doctor's able to refer them out to an exercise physiologist, a dietitian, or to go and practice yoga or see a stress reduction specialist. We want that to be something that's simple, easy to do, and right at the top of the physician's mind. The other aspect of it is we don't just want to empower professionals, we want to empower you. And so we're creating resources and creating programs to help survivors adopt a sustainable, long-term, active lifestyle, healthy lifestyle through all of those different arms. We obviously want to see an improvement in the quality of life for everyone throughout Canada and globally as well. Similar programs, a little bit different than what we're doing, but focuses on physical activity and nutrition are also being run in places like Australia and the UK and the US through the True North initiative. So programming wise, True North is wanting to deliver in-person programming that's adaptable to whichever community or facility it's being hosted at. It's able to foster support between groups of men so that it's another forum where people can share openly and feel comfortable. I always equate it to, because I have a sport background, to the dressing room mentality, because people are always very comfortable in dressing rooms or around your buddies when you're on a golf cart, as compared to a lot of other different scenarios. And we want to be able to hopefully control the message, or the message of delivery. So we want to be able to make sure that any sort of message being delivered to all of you is correct, because especially in activity, nutrition, it seems like something new's coming out every week. The waters can get very muddied and you don't really know exactly what's true and what might not be completely true. So we want to make sure that we're delivering the very best current knowledge to everybody. And then the online resources, which are currently being developed and are hopefully will be launching later this year. We want to be able to provide continuous access to the current information for survivors and for the professionals too. So we want to make sure that anybody who's actually involved with True North Lifestyle Management are constantly educating themselves so that they can provide the best care. And part of that is to bring in experts from across Canada in each of those arms that I talked about, physical activity, nutrition, and stress reduction. So, and then getting them online with all of you and giving you opportunities to ask questions to them, no matter where you might be in the country. So giving online office hours, those sorts of things. Current information, we always want it to be updated as it becomes available. And we want to create a community of users across Canada, so that maybe you have a friend who's moved since then that you want to be able to keep in touch with. This provides a forum for you to be able to do that and to meet people you may not have been able to meet otherwise who have similar stories to you, and you can help each other out. And True North Lifestyle Management hasn't just been put together whimsically, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel in any way either. So we're trying to really lean on successful existing programs, because they are absolutely out there, and Canada has done a ton on their own, specifically in Alberta. Obviously, I'll do the first plug for us is the Health and Wellness Lab. You have seen Dr. Culos-Reed around here many a times. She is wonderful and a leading researcher in this field, specifically with the knowledge translation, with being able to take evidence and apply it to programming. Along with that, over at our lab, we also have the Thrive Center, which is the free workout facility specifically for cancer survivors. All tumor groups, but it's one of those things that we take for granted around here in Calgary, but is not offered in too many places throughout Canada. And then some of you may be familiar with Strength and Stretch, which one of our alumni, Katie Krenz, runs through the Rocky View Hospital every Wednesday. That is another very successful program that has been developed over the years that we're relying on for feedback and for advice on how to get these programs rolling to make sure that we're actually addressing the needs that have been addressed in the past, or that have been brought up in the past. Like I mentioned, Tom Baker has the mindfulness-based stress reduction program that I encourage you all to look into. And then there's also Yoga Thrive, which you may have heard of, and Wellspring, which I know has presented here in the past as well. Both wonderful facilities that have great resources for us to lean on already. One of our major collaborators is the Princess Margaret Cancer Center Survivorship and Wellness Program, based out in Toronto. They have a wonderful nutrition-based program called Elixir. And you can find it online. It provides videos and in-services to help people not only with recipe baking and that sort of thing, but food preparation, a lot of the practical things that you can actually use. And then there's the PSA program. That is Ashley Zahavich's program that she currently runs in Halifax. She's been doing that for a little bit now, and so she has a nice group of men over there who have been doing a physical activity program based on research, so that we can use that to see exactly how they, or how all of you have told us how you appreciated it, so we can adjust it as necessary. Below there you'll see 3 of the different screenshots of some of the existing resources that are out there too. So the Princess Margaret Cancer Center on the left there has published the Challenging Prostate Cancer Guide, and that is a guide for both nutrition and physical activity, specifically for prostate cancer survivors. It's a wonderful resource. And then BC Cancer Care, who are also collaborating with a couple of their experts, has also published something similar, the Nutrition Guide for Men with Prostate Cancer. And then ourselves here in Calgary, when we're talking about being able to educate the professional, that's what you're seeing right there, the Cancer and Exercise Training Manual for Fitness Professionals. So periodically we will actually host trainings for many different levels of fitness professionals, from university educated to people who have different credentials, and we're educating them on how to address and how to best care for many different tumor groups, prostate cancer being one of them, so that they understand the issues that are being dealt with, so they can handle them appropriately and give proper exercise prescriptions that are going to help, so that they're not asking somebody to do something crazy that they're not comfortable with. So with the lifestyle programs, we're always wanting to include combinations of the 3 things that I've talked about previously. So physical activity, stress reduction, and nutrition. And putting these together, there has been previous research on how effective they've been. And different programs that have combined any of these have been shown to result in successful weight management, successful control of anxiety, depression. Many of the things that we've seen, or that we saw with more of the raw research earlier, where it's like one or the other, we've shown that when you put it together, you get a lot of benefits that are successfully being able to be applied to the community. So it's not just something that's successful in the lab and then not necessarily successful when you actually put it out there. The other exciting thing is that we see a lot of benefits with participating in formal programs that are at home and in groups. So that gives us a freedom to be able to tailor whatever we're putting together for whatever is going to work for you, whether you are somebody who's able to do things at home and you're able to motivate yourself at home, fantastic. But if you're somebody, probably like myself, who needs to actually get their button gear and get out of the house, that's just fine too. Both of them have been shown to be very effective. And so the way that this is being put together generally with each and every program that will be put together in Canada is with the 3 arms, there's going to be different aspects to each. So physical activity, we're looking at individualized fitness assessments, individualized exercise prescription, specifically in here at Calgary, it's by an exercise physiologist, and then safe and supervised group classes. Again, focused on men and the specific issues that you would face. Stress reduction, again, looking at wellness assessments, yoga classes, bi-weekly yoga classes. Yoga is becoming more and more popular, more and more accepted. I'll be the first to admit that I was somebody who had to accept yoga as something that is extremely beneficial and appropriate for everybody. Once I came around with it, it is wonderful for sure. And the beauty of it is it can help anyone and everyone in both physical and emotional ways. You can make it as hard as you want or as easy as you want. If you're looking at straight flexibility, I wouldn't ask you to judge me by it because I'm still really inflexible, but the other benefits to it are wonderful. We're also looking at the specific mindfulness classes like the MBSR programs that are currently being run, and educational sessions so that you can help yourselves. Nutrition, we're looking at, again, weekly education, and there's specific nutrition programming being developed right now by a few of the experts around Canada. Ideally in the future, there would hopefully be consultations with registered dietitians, either online or in person, depending on the facility. And there would be periodic seminars and cooking classes. Again, geared towards practicality is the key that we've heard from those experts and from men previously, is that we want to be able to present things that you will actually go away and use, as compared to, maybe more unrealistic things. Like a different example would be telling a college kid on $5 a week to go and cook with raw quinoa that costs $5 for the entire week. It's not going to happen. They're probably going to eat craft dinner. And so that's the applied thing that we want to be able to pass on. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there's the extensive online resources and support services that will be available nationally. So by logging on, you'll have your own little dashboard on the computer you're able to track different things, whether it's your steps, whether it's your stress levels, your amount of activity you've been able to do, or even something like what you've been eating. You're able to track it as much as you feel like you want to be able to actually get something tangible from it. And then the actual programs, the in-person programs, we've partnered with the YMCA, which I think is a pretty good partner because there's a ton of them throughout Canada. And then they will be one of our host locations. So we can talk to different YMCAs throughout Canada. We can make sure that they're ready and they have the proper staff and facilities ready. We can implement programs in every corner of the country. In addition to that, you're also probably going to see it in different health and wellness centers, whether they're private or things like hospitals and clinics. And then likely, because there are some fantastic researchers across Canada with these different elements in prostate cancer, you'll probably see some programs run out of post-secondary institutions as well, which is a fantastic complement. So specifically in Calgary, we are starting the pilot project. So the very first hands-on program has started here in Calgary. And so with it, we're looking at the physical activity aspect and the stress reduction aspect through yoga to start with. That's kind of our first wave, and then as we go, we'll introduce more aspects to it. So really quickly, the different things that are going to be emphasized with the physical activity component is the aerobic aspect, resistance and strength training, flexibility, and then the pelvic floor muscle training. And these are things that will be presented both in person and through resources that are distributed to participants so that they have something to bring home with them. So that they can take a look whenever they feel like they have the time, and they can hopefully learn and be able to do things on their own. Each of these have their own benefits. Each of these have their own limitations in terms of some people might not have the time or have the motivation to do them, but then maybe another one of them will actually be able to resonate with somebody. And so by giving those different options and those different benefits, you're able to kind of pick and choose what you think will work best for yourself. And then stress reduction. Research has shown that practicing these stress reduction techniques improves many of the major emotional aspects. The two of the ways that we're looking at initially is the yoga and the mindfulness-based stress reduction. I am not an expert in these at all, which is why we've brought in experts to put them together. And so with these, we're putting together weekly programs, whether it's 6 or 12 weeks, and we're putting these programs into use so that anyone who's using them off the bat can give us feedback on how they feel they're going, and we can adjust them as necessary. The one that's being started in Calgary is the yoga aspect. That's already started with a 6-week yoga program, so bi-weekly, and then hopefully being able to be increased in frequency as we go. And then finally is nutrition. So I'm sure that you've all had more than enough information thrown at you at different points in your life in terms of nutrition. Most of it, if you're like me, has always come across as very similar to like going to the dentist, where they're telling you things and your pangs of guilt continue to increase and you're like, yeah, I know I should do that, but I'm not doing it. I'll get to it someday. We're trying to change the tone of that. We don't want nutrition to be something that people fret over, or they're like, oh, I wish I ate better. We want it to actually feel like something that you can do. And so the tone that we're taking is more on the applied practical aspect of it. And you'll see see that with the resources that we distribute. And we want to make sure that people have those proper habits so they can manage the symptoms that they might be dealing with, because the research has shown that it is effective. Things as simple as just a heart-healthy diet can decrease risk of comorbidities and increase the quality of life. So it's not something that has to be gimmicky in any way. It can be something very basic. And then people can also hopefully access practical, healthy, easy recipes through videos, actual like paper recipes, whichever you prefer. And then again, there would be in the future in-person education and in-person education through online aspects too. So in Calgary, with the pilot program, we have started with a 12-week initial program. So this is what is available to all of you currently here. So the classes, we have 5 different exercise classes throughout the week as a part of our physical activity aspect. So we have the fitness assessments, the individualized exercise prescription, group exercise classes that we recommend 2 times a week, but like I said, we have 5 different ones at 3 different locations. We have the bi-weekly yoga classes and bi-weekly educational seminars, all based around physical activity for men. And it is open to everybody, regardless of diagnosis, treatment type, and stage of recovery. Some might have to get a little bit of medical clearance, but that is something you'll be guided through before you actually join. And the best part, it's free. Free is always the number I like to see. Yeah, free, yeah. If only more things were free. And it is free because of the generous funding that we've been able to get. And part of that is to be able to produce sustainable programs too. So by being able to empower the participants who are taking part, getting them into the door, then we can hopefully start that investment in yourselves. So logistically, these are the classes that are currently being offered for the group physical activity. We're trying to hit several parts of the day, several parts of the city, so that there's always going to be something for somebody. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are at Richmond Road Diagnostic Center from 11 until 12. And then Wednesdays, there's 2 options. There's again the Richmond Road one, but then there's also the Prostate Cancer Center at Rocky View Hospital, which to some of you that might look familiar, that is a strength and stretch class. So like I said earlier, we're not looking to actually replace any existing programs. We want to help the existing programs that are there get to the best of their potential. And with the success, the wonderful success of strength and stretch, we've been able to add aspects to it through the individualized exercise testing and prescriptions to be able to give those guys that were already attending strength and stretch an opportunity to do even more on their own. But strength and stretch is also open to anybody who is doing True North as well. Thursdays is the either yoga class or education session at the University of Calgary, at the Thrive Center, which if you've been there before, you'll know where it is, and if not, it's over by the Outdoor Center, which is on the west side of campus, over by the Olympic Oval. It is a little longer, 6 o'clock to 7:15, to facilitate the two parts. So yoga will be 1 week, and the yoga is about an hour, so that gives us about 15 minutes for questions and feedback at the end of it. And then the education sessions, the first half hour is actually a physical activity class. So you can feel like you're actually getting some work in there. You're not just sitting there to sit in a classroom for 45 minutes. You're there, you get something tangible, and then you get a different tangible aspect after that with the education of how you can apply physical activity now and going on into the future, so that you're not feeling left after the 12 weeks. We want to make sure you know what to do afterwards. So classes are all supervised by a certified personal trainer or an exercise physiologist. Both of them are university educated, and then they have to do a little bit afterwards too. So these are the, I like to call them the exer geeks, because they are the biggest nerds you'll find, and they love exercise. They will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that the things that you are doing are going to be the most appropriate and the most beneficial to you. You're not going to have what a lot of people picture, is that person standing over you, yelling at you to go harder, harder, one more. It's very much, let's have some enjoyment today. Classes are all a combination of light to moderate intensity aerobic and resistance activity. So you get a little bit of everything. And if there's anything that you're enjoying more than another, that's the kind of feedback we're looking for, so we can adjust it as necessary. And I know that I gave Stuart some resources last week or last month I should say, that can be distributed with this information on it. Right now, for the Calgary program, just phoning our lab is the way to get involved with it. As I was telling some people earlier, our lab has a ton of different things going on. So if you have more questions about some of the other programs going on for different tumor groups, you're more than welcome to ask us about that when you phone. There is a study that I know that we've come in and chatted with you folks about before for people specifically on ADT. And if you want any more information on ADT and physical activity, phone that number as well. Now, the pilot project is just the start of it here. The whole idea is that we get to move this from just Calgary to all across Canada, so we can make a very tangible and sustainable change in the way that lifestyle management is focused on after diagnosis. And so to give you an idea, these are some of the people who are already involved or have been pinpointed to be involved with the project from a champion aspect. So we have two types of champions. The first one are expert champions. So these are the individuals who are the leading researchers in their fields in physical activity, nutrition, or stress reduction. Those are the stars that you'll see there. And so we have them all across Canada. The one in the States is a Canadian who's currently teaching in the States. And then the circles you see there are our regional champions. So these are people who we've identified as having a very significant impact on their field and in the cancer continuum, and we want to get them involved with actually being able to implement the program in that area of Canada. So every single area of Canada has been highlighted, and we should be able to, as long as we have willing partners. And so far, I like to brag that anybody we've approached to be involved, we have a resounding 100% success rate so far. We want everybody to be involved so that we can have it to every major center of Canada. Now, it's not going to be limited to these centers though. The whole idea with the online platform is that we can get professionals trained in some of the more rural areas as well, so that they can actually put in programs to those specific places, and the online aspect too. So giving an option to do a physical activity program, a 12-week program, through just online, because that might be the most accessible way to do that. We will provide the guidance to be able to do that as well. Now again, we're looking to change the way that lifestyle management is looked at for prostate cancer survivors. And there are community resources here in Calgary specifically who are leading up, or who have led up that charge in the past, that we are also involved with as well. So you have Wellspring Calgary, who once you get involved with some of the True North stuff, maybe you're enjoying the exercise, there's another bunch of classes throughout the week that you can access there as well. Maybe the True North schedule doesn't work for you, it's another way that you can go and get the activity. So you've had the fitness assessment through True North, maybe you can't make any exercise classes, this is another option where you can implement what you've been learning with True North. Yoga Thrive, if you haven't heard of it, is the fee-based 12-week program for just yoga, and it's for all cancer groups. And it's throughout various community locations across Calgary. This is one of the best examples I can give of the implementing research into a community program. All the locations are through different private entities throughout Calgary who have come into collaboration with us to provide this service. The Thrive Center, which I mentioned earlier, and then the Thrive program for any and all tumor groups is the fee-based physical fitness assessment that is basically a part of True North, but this is for any other tumor group as well. And again, it's one of the programs that we've used to kind of model True North afterwards. And the hope is that it kind of demonstrates one of the examples of a sustainable program that can be done years afterwards, that for a minimal fee, you're able to provide something, or provide what the participant needs. And by demonstrating that minimal fee, maybe that's a way to always get extra funding in there to cover it through other associations. So just to finish up, we've been talking about the community programming aspect throughout, but we don't want to forget the best message, which is just get moving as much as you can. Don't ever feel intimidated to get moving, because that is the thing that people struggle with at every stage of their life, is that there's always ways to say, I'll just do it tomorrow, or I don't think I'm really that comfortable with it. That's perfectly natural. Just taking the baby steps to do something you're comfortable with, that is going to involve moving, is going to be the best way to go about it. Start slowly, take precautions, take it one day at a time, and realize some is always better than none. And if you can, try to incorporate some of all four of those things that we talked about earlier: aerobic, strength, flexibility, and pelvic floor exercises, if that's something that you'll benefit from. And then find ways to make everyday routines more active. So the best way I've heard this described is make your life a little more challenging. So that's usually been associated with the take the stairs idea, but it can be done in different ways too. When you're looking for that elusive parking spot, instead of fighting to get in that tiny spot at the front of the store, go a few more spots away, get in a little bit more activity that way. If you're doing housework around the house, don't try to do a whole bunch of things all at once. Do one thing at a time. Might take a little bit more time, but if you have it, you're getting more activity that way too. And then remember, a gradual increase in activity has huge health benefits. That's the important thing, is the health benefits. It might not be things that you're able to see in the mirror, but they're things that are helping you to make your everyday life easier and more enjoyable. And finally, in order to help yourselves do this, seek out local community programs like True North to help you start on this journey. So if you have any questions about the Calgary program or the dissemination across Canada, please feel free to ask, and thank you for having me.
Michael, for the chaps and ladies that are here, just review again when these programs start and how they can register for.
So the program is ongoing. So we already have about 8 participants in it who are attending the classes. They've had their assessments. And so to get involved, you just have to phone, and then we just put you in whenever you're able to come in. And so your 12 weeks starts when you have that assessment, and then you go for 12 weeks after that. Now, the one question I have had from individuals who have already registered in the program is, what if I'm scheduled for surgery or something during those 12 weeks? In that case, we're not going to include that in your 12 weeks. We're actually going to be providing you with a program that will hopefully help you bring yourself back slowly from the surgery so that you can start up again after you're out. So there's that opportunity for a little interruption in between.
And how long will this program be running? How long is it funded for?
Yeah, so we're hoping to have this being funded continuously, especially for the near future, so that we can continually use it as a ground to get feedback from all of you on how effective it is. So it's the initial 12 weeks, and then it's an ongoing conversation about how we're going to fund additional 12 weeks for each of you. So it is going to be free for the foreseeable future, and any change in that, you'll definitely be the first to know. But I would definitely encourage you to take advantage of it as soon as you feel like you're able to.
And your funding from Movember and Prostate Cancer Canada is for 3 years?
Yes, so True North, they've given us 3 years of funding to be able to spread this throughout Canada. And so the hope is, depending on how many successful programs we're able to get going, is that we'd be able to fund most of those programs for the first couple rounds, first few 12-week rounds. And so with that being said, it all depends on how many programs get off the ground. If there's only a few, then a lot of other programs will be able to be funded a little longer. But we're trying to enable each and every facility that runs it to be able to get it to be sustainable on their own, so that it's not something that they do one-off, and then they're like, oh, well, thanks, that was great. We want them to be able to be like, hey, that was beneficial for both us as a facility as well as the participant. Let's try to get more funding in, or let's put a nominal fee on there so that we can keep it going in the long run. Yes?
I think you answered one of my questions. The fitness assessment is the first thing that takes place after you make a phone call.
Yes.
So that's a one-on-one meeting with someone to do that.
Yes.
Before the class starts.
Yeah.
Then the individual exercise prescription. How is that given to an individual?
Great question. So the first thing I'll address, because it's usually a little bit of an issue that people are apprehensive about, is the fitness assessment. Fitness assessment is nothing to be scared about. It's not a crazy intense thing where you're going to be leaving going like, oh my God, they worked me so hard. It's something that we're looking to see what your functional fitness is. So how well you're able to perform a lot of the different activities of living. So things like a walking test. We're not asking for an all-out jog or a sprint or anything. Simple walking test. Exercises, we're asking you to get up and sit back down, or take a little turn around, those sorts of things. So it's as unintimidating as can possibly be. And then the individualized exercise prescription is based off of those results. So we're able to take a look at the results, and then we're able to put a program together looking at your strengths and your weaknesses and where you would most likely be able to benefit. Then you're actually given a resource binder. So a little resource binder, it has a whole bunch of the different educational aspects that will eventually be included online as well, but we've given it to you in print. And then within that, there's your specific exercise program. And each of the exercises that are in there will have been introduced within your first couple weeks of attending the classes, so that the hope is that they're not exercises that you're looking at me and like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We want them to be familiar to you, and if they're not, the different facilitators at each of the classes are able to answer that. You can bring your binder and they can go over exercises with you.
The individual prescription exercise is developed over a period of time. It's not like you have the assessment and then this is what I think you should be doing.
You bet, yeah. So we're giving about 2 weeks. So once you have the assessment, we're able to look it over over a couple weeks. It's not just one person, it's actually a couple of us. We're able to kind of compare it to what is out there with kind of recommended exercises, that sort of thing, and then present it to you in 2 weeks. Once you've gotten used to a lot of the activities by attending the classes, and you're feeling confident with it, then we're giving it to you so that you can hopefully succeed with it.
The reason I'm asking this is because I work with a trainer, I go to a gym 3 times
Yep.
a week.
Ah,
My trainer knows something about my history,
yep.
but I don't know if necessarily the exercises and what I'm doing, I may be missing some.
Mm-hmm.
And with your specialized, knowledgeable individuals to do with cancer, and they may change my program or suggest introducing something. I
Yeah.
prefer to stay at my gym and doing it where I'm comfortable, but I'd like to get the input from your people to put with it. How would you suggest I go about it?
So the individualized exercise prescriptions are always based not just on your results, but on your interest and what you think you'll benefit from most, because we obviously want you to be involved with it. So the hope is that anything we give you, you'll be able to show your trainer and be like, hey, this is what was recommended to me. Can you make sure that I'm doing these things properly? And then you can perform them wherever you'd like, whether you're at your gym, whether you're at your home, or whether you are participating in any of the classes.
I have to sign on for 12 weeks.
Got a question down here?
Yes, Mike.
Yeah.
Can you give us a phone number for your registration office?
Yep. Do you have any of those, the handouts that I gave you? Oh. Oh, thank you.
Yep.
To be qualified for your training program,
Say that again?
to qualify for your
Yeah.
global training program, do I have to be diagnosed as a cancer patient?
Yes, it is restricted to prostate cancer survivors.
How about some of the patients have not yet started their treatment program? Or another one, another category is the so-called in the active surveillance, are they qualified?
Absolutely, they do.
So basically what you say is after they go through the biopsy, will be qualified.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Active surveillance is an active therapy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, if I understand you correctly, the first time you go in, you get an assessment,
Mm-hmm.
or it's done over a 2-week period. So let's just use a specific example. Let's say I want to go to Richmond Road on Wednesday. Okay. After the assessment is done, I go there, and it's a 12-week program. Is the program conducted on a group basis with other people doing the same exercises as I am? Or do I just go there, it's supervised by a trainer, but I have my own particular program that has been developed for me? So which is
So it's the first scenario. So the idea is that we're giving you as many options as we can. So the individualized exercise portion is something that we're hopefully able to give you that you can do on your own, again, wherever you'd like to, and long term. So we're giving you instructions on how to progress it as well. And then the exercise classes are another option, completely separate from that. So when you're going to the exercise class, you're working out with similar men, all prostate cancer survivors, and you're working out together, all doing the same things. But when we're saying same things, each of the classes have been geared to understand that men are coming from different fitness backgrounds, different ability levels, so there's always modifications that you're being supervised on. So if you don't think you're capable of doing something, we'll give you something different, and vice versa. If you think something's too easy, we can give you a little bit more of an advanced version. So there's definitely those two very specific aspects to it.
thanks for that.
You're welcome.
True Makers, I didn't know anything about Thrive Center before tonight. Can you tell me about what their facilities, what their programs are? Not necessarily within bounds of True North, but
Yep.
what Thrive is.
So the Thrive Center is a room that is full of some different aerobic exercise equipment, as well as some, we call them free weights and bands and those sorts of things, like little dumbbells, trampolines, resistance bands, those sorts of things. And the whole premise of it is a safe and welcoming community to be able to actually engage in physical activity. And so it's open to anyone who's been diagnosed with cancer, regardless of the tumor group, and they're also welcome to bring in any loved ones if they need extra support in exercising in there. And it's always supervised by some kinesiology students.
So it's in the kinesiology complex? Somewhere?
Yes, it's in the kinesiology complex, and so the students who are supervising have been given some extensive training on cancer specifically and the impact it will have on different physical activities and physical functions, so that they can always be there to make sure everybody's safe. And then the center is something that is meticulously cleaned and all of those sorts of things that other gyms, just when you're big or when they're bigger and there's so many people going through there, it's things that may fall to the wayside a little bit. Those are things that are really pushed upon at the Thrive Center, and it's kind of minimalistic as well, so you're not going to have any big machines or anything in there. It's meant to help you with functional stuff. So if you have a history of being able to do physical activity and you know about formal fitness, you can go in there and use that as long as you are able to get the clearance, or you can join the Thrive program or True North, be given your program, then you can execute it there as well.
So it's essentially a drop-in facility?
You bet.
And what hours is it maintained?
The hours are all over because there are different classes along with True North. There's also classes for a breast cancer program called Beauty, and as well there's one for head and neck. So the hours are kind of a little bit all over, but you will find the hours on the website there down at the bottom, thriveforcancersurvivors.com.
If I could just pose a question, because you brought up a word called ladies. We've got quite a focus on ladies and caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
We talk of this being a family disease.
Yep.
So for the ladies in the crowd, where might they participate in what you've got indicated here? You mentioned the Thrive Center.
Yeah, so right now,
Other activities are available for the partner.
so the Thrive Center is probably the number one there. So from the first sort of wave of feedback that we got, we've chosen to make this exclusive just for the men for now, to give it, or to be able to create a environment where the men are hopefully feeling comfortable with communicating with each other and talking. But the role of the caregiver is hopefully they can attend the Thrive Center during those open hours that we were talking about. And then the program that each participant is given can absolutely benefit any sort of loved one that you have. I was talking to one of our participants just last week, and he was telling me about his 14-year-old or 13-year-old and how he had suddenly started asking his dad about, hey, I know that you've been working out a little bit, I want to try to get biceps. And this just happened to coincide with the fact that his dad started seeing him texting with a girl. So take that for what it's worth. But looking at the program that we had given his dad, it was something that he would benefit from too, because the whole point is the physical literacy aspect. So it's not something that is going to be overly complicated, it's simplistic. And so anyone can get benefits from it. Pelvic floor for a male, same pelvic floor that you would find for any other group as well. All beneficial, and you're absolutely encouraged to do the program with a loved one if you can.
And you're signing people up tonight, right?
If you're interested, absolutely. I'll take names down.
So you stand at the door there.
You bet.
Is that all the questions, or are there some more? I see a couple here.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I could see myself attending the Richmond Road Diagnostic Center weekly from 11 to 2 p.m. Or to 11 to 12.
Yeah.
However, in late March I go south for a month. I come back mid-April. In mid-May the ice has gone out and I take my canoe and a fishing rod and I disappear to Northern Ontario.
Quit bragging.
In June. In July, the summer's arrived here and I take a canoe and head northwest. I come back, and my daughter lives in Amsterdam, and I take off to see her. So I kind of...
So you're the most interesting man in the world.
How would it work for me to even enroll in that kind of?
If you think it would, then absolutely. So like if you're leaving in, you said end of March?
Yeah, late March, gone for a month, back, gone for a month, back, gone for a month, back.
So the idea with the 12-week program is obviously we want you to be able to attend as many classes as you can. And there's also a option of a 12-week program after you've finished. There's a maintenance, so that you wouldn't get more assessments or anything. You do get assessment at the end of it, so at the end of the 12 weeks to see if you've improved, but you can still attend classes afterwards, is the idea. So you could still attend the classes, and when you come in for the prescription, that's something you can tell the individual that's testing you, and then we're able to put a program together that could probably benefit you while you're traveling. Yeah.
There was another question, I think.
Just a quick hello, Mike. I know you remember me back in December. He's the one who's going to assess you. And I live there, so I'm in about week 3 attending the Richmond Road. Sometimes a small group, but we have a ride. We get exercise, but it's a lot of fun, and I think, like I say, they haven't killed me yet. So, and I'm not one for exercising, so we're enjoying it, and I think it's going to make some progress with my own physical conditioning, and certainly the equipment they've got is fantastic. You drive her crazy, of course, but I think that's part of their training. So, love having you come out, and we really work on. I do Richmond Road Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's 3 times a week. So. But you don't have to. So that's the one that the most, because I figured I needed 3 times a week.
Thank you. And I might as well mention as well, some people are interested to know, I am the only male in our lab group. There are 17 other women, and like was just said, we have Katie, Mika, and Tyla, who are all lovely young ladies who are facilitating each of these, and they are some of the some of the most wonderful people you'll meet. So it does definitely roll into a very nice community.
That's quite a sell, eh? 17 ladies and 1 guy. And a great testimonial.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.